I'm here with a really good friend, Derrick Long. I can't believe that it's been 15 years. We used to be speaking on some stages, and now we are on stage 15 years later. And it's incredible to see that we're in the same similar industry. So
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, I'm here with a really good friend, Derrick Long. We go back about 15 years. We were in a previous business venture, and fast forward to today, we're going to be talking about the evolution and things that have changed over the years, and really happy for my good friend Derrick, and we're really pursuing, and everybody, I think, at some point or another really wants freedom, right? Whatever that is for you. And it's really incredible to hear kind of the story and catching up. Just a while ago, we're here at Note Expo 2023, just an incredible event with just some amazing people that are, just part of the top 1%, right? They're investors,
Absolutely.
They're sophisticated investors, people that are out there trying to do better. And I like to start off, with this, interview, just talking a little bit about, your background, kind of what you've done, and maybe 15 years ago to a couple of years now, and kind of what you've done. I mean, first of all, appreciate the service. I know your father was just on stage talking about you serving the country, so thank you for that.
What's funny about that is my dad mentions me like joining the Army and joining the service, but it was out of desperation. Our first business venture, I didn't do so well. And I think a lot of times it's that failure that will bring you to that next level. And people are too scared to fail.
Right.
But, 15 years ago when we first met and we're doing things, I failed miserably. And I put myself in a lot of debt.
Yeah.
I put myself in, I don't want to say harm's way, but it sucked. It really did. But here's the thing is I still had that determination to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
I joined the Army actually to help myself get out of debt, which was kind of funny.
Wow.
Right? And what was unique is even while I was in the Army, I was still trying to find ways to make money from that entrepreneur side. Whether it was doing small businesses, even lending money at times, to buying notes, to just even some small stock things.
Yeah.
And so, but after I got out of the military, I started looking at self-directed IRAs and retirement accounts. And little did I know, I actually became a real expert in it.
Yeah.
To this day, I actually still speak at Congress on a quarterly basis about retirement accounts, and I actually get to represent all retirement accounts, Charles Schwab, Vanguard, Fidelity, you name it.
Wow.
Right? At the Congress level, and I'm brought in to actually teach Congress members, House of Reps, senators, et cetera, about retirement tax code. So I'm a dork, man.
Yeah,
I really am.
I mean, that's so impressive. And I think one of the things that I wanted to highlight, and you really just being bold and talking about it, that doesn't get talked enough, is the failures, right? The adversity, the things that just don't go well, and I think a lot of people look at, some of us at a certain point and they're like, oh man, like, that guy is just doing so well, but they don't see, and we don't talk enough of those failures and adversity, right?
How many times early on were we wearing suits to an event? We looked good, we looked sharp, we were playing the part. Behind the scenes, we're eating top ramen and, like sleeping on the buddy's sofa,
Yeah, no.
And it was, you did what you needed to, and we joke, you fake it till you make it, but I don't know if that's really the right term. I think it's more just, you have to have the determination.
Right.
Right, and you can't give it up.
Yeah.
Right, and you'll find a way.
And kind of your example, I think that really says a lot about what kind of person you are, and that determination and persistence is that you did a business venture, you weren't doing really well, and you're like, you know what? You probably could have had some resources, maybe with friends or family, that they wanted to help you out, but you didn't want to take a handout. You said, you know what?
I'll figure it out.
I figure it out. I put myself in debt. I'm going to go in the military out of kind of desperation, right?
Exactly, but I never lost that drive.
Yeah.
Is really what happened. And because I never lost that drive, I kept pushing forward. And I think it's funny that you and I both ended up in real estate.
Right.
We lived in Arizona doing something completely different outside of real estate to ending up in Texas doing real estate investing.
Yeah.
15 years, never talked to each other. No text, no calls, and we just ran into each other.
Yeah, we literally lost communication for probably about a decade, 10 years. And one day I'm on, some of the groups on social media, on Facebook, and I see your picture on Quest. Little did I know that you were working at Quest.
Yep.
And little did I know that your family was basically the founders and running Quest. And I'm like, this guy's in real estate. I'm in real estate. I'm in DFW. They have an office here local. And, you know, we caught up and it's been pretty exciting to see, you know, you become an expert, you excel, and now really living a life that, you know, I want to get to here in a second, of financial freedom, right? And being able to really do that through real estate. And I know for me, you know, several years ago, I wanted to get involved in real estate, but, you know, the lack of belief in things that aren't necessarily true, a lot of times keep a lot of us from not pursuing that, you know, I don't have the capital, I don't have the, you know.
I think that's very funny, is people think you need a lot of capital to get into real estate, but you don't.
Right.
You know, I remember my first rental property I bought for $10,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And if you really look at it, you're going to be like, how did you buy a rental property for $10,000? And we can break down the numbers in a different segment, but what it was $10,000 to close. The bank provided the rest of the loan. I went through the right motions, had the right contractors, you know, everything like that, and had the right lenders. And when you think about it, I only had to bring $10,000 to the table to buy an actual rental property that appreciates in value, that pays you those monthly residuals, that not only that, you get tax deductions for owning real estate, and there's a lot of things behind it.
Yeah, no, I do want to spend you know, some time, since you are an expert with, you know, IRAs and what retirements and why people should, you know, focus and have that, you know, especially if you're in the real estate investment space. Is let's talk a little bit about those benefits and what people should be at least setting up at a bare minimum, you know, if they're investing.
No matter what. And you can choose any custodian out there, you set up a Roth IRA first off, okay? They're very similar to a savings account. But the difference is, if I save money in a savings account, I do an investment, all my earnings are taxable. No big deal, right? Well, if I set up a Roth IRA, I can put money in the Roth just like I do my savings. I can remove the money if I need to at any point in time, tax-free, penalty-free. But every single investment you do avoids 100% of the taxation. And that is what's crazy. Imagine doing a fix and flip and you made 10 grand, 0 taxes. You own a rental income, you have those rental incomes coming in, 0 taxation. You know?
And you know, what people say, you know, the richer get richer because they understand the tax code, they understand what's in their benefit, because, you know, all those codes are written in favor of the investor. We want you guys to invest in the market, invest in the United States, and they get a benefit, right?
That's the thing. And I think the other side of it is, people too many times, they're looking for what I'm going to call that home run deal that's going to make them a millionaire or something like that. It doesn't work that way. As a matter of fact, your first handful of deals are not going to be home run deals, unless you're super lucky or something like that. Usually there are those smaller deals that's going to get you to that next level. You know, you're going to make just enough money, you're going to reinvest a lot of it to get a better project, to get a better deal, to get better credit, to get better whatever it is. And more importantly, I think, besides the investing side that people miss, is the networking.
Yeah.
You and I were just talking, how often do we meet people that actually can bring us to that next level, that networking side, by going to an event, by getting extra education? You know, you never know it all. You might, and I think a lot of people feel that at some point in time they know it all. No, there's always something new to learn.
Yeah, and I think we both kind of learned that early on, you know, with our network marketing, you know, training or school, right? The School of Hard Knocks network marketing training.
Thanks, Felipe. Thanks, Hayden.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you shout out to all those, you know, mentors, you know, Mr. Danny Bay, you know, Tim Hurt. Like, you know, I always tell people, you know, I owe where I'm at, you know, so much to network marketing. And I know we used to get joked around of like, oh, you know, what happened to you being a millionaire or whatnot, you know. When that happened,
am now.
Right? We are. It happened, you know, because we gained those skills and that knowledge. And one of the things that we learn is that mentors will take you and open doors that, you know, that you can't really get other than, you know, paying the price of 10, 15, 20 years with, you know, other things. And we've been able to get incredible connections and relationships. I mean, we were just talking about, you know, how you just over the last couple of years have been able to meet kind of through your network of what you have been doing through Quest. I mean, how many incredible people have you met and learned, right?
So I had an unfair advantage working with Quest Trust companies. I got to kind of see behind the scenes. And when I was sitting there, I got to see a lot of people's good investments, but more importantly, I saw their bad investments. And I was learning from other people's mistakes. And there's plenty of people out there that have made these mistakes already that you can learn from. Right. But you just gotta not be thick-headed.
Right.
You're right. You got to actually like take a minute and really learn,
Right.
take a step back. And so I think it's very unique.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you on that. Like you said, I mean, you can sit there and, spend 5, 10 years, 100, 200, 10,000, 20,000 loss.
Yep.
Or you can just learn that from the experience that's why we come to these rooms, right?
Exactly.
And I think, that also has been so, such a key for me is like even, I think it was a year ago or the year before, I sat down and I wrote and I said, you know what, I want to spend X amount on my education and learning more.
Exactly.
Right? And I think people sometimes are always trying to find a way of how can I save money? One thing that you don't want to, you want to invest in yourself as much as possible.
And it's not just that. And once you start to apply what you just said to other aspects of your life, you quit looking for the savings, period.
Yeah.
You really do. No longer do I look for discount codes or anything. And it's not because I have money. That's actually nothing to do with it. It's what is my time worth, A?
Right.
Am I going to get something out of this? Or am I supporting something?
Right.
Actually, believe it or not, many times I would rather spend more money and buy something from a small business than going to the chain store,
Right.
And I think that actually kind of starts to become part of it, is you like to see things go back to your community.
Yeah, and when you're building that community and that relationship, I think, not only do you want to do business with that other person or that, the community, but the community also wants to do business with you, and they'll bring so many things.
Exactly.
It's a win-win situation. So let's talk about, how, you're living that dream life that, I think a lot of the people, what we had, imagined 15 years ago, right?
Yeah, so I'm 37 years old.
Well, I'm 37 too.
Yeah, look at that, right? So at 37, I actually quit my job, 100%. What I did is...
I didn't even know this. I was surprised. I was talking to a friend. He's like, do you know Derrick is no longer with Quest? I'm like, what?
No. Yeah, so what was funny is it's all started off with one rental. By owning one rental, even though I wasn't making a whole lot of money off the rental, I had enough tax deductions that was offsetting my W-2 income taxes. So all those taxes that were taken on my W-2 check, I was actually getting back because of the deductions from the property.
Wow.
So it's like, first off, find a property. Doesn't matter what it is.
So you basically got paid to buy a rental property.
Exactly.
And you're having a little bit of cash flow. I mean.
Yep, and the property's appreciating.
Right.
So love it, right? First off, so that was step one. Step two then is taking the risk to invest in other individuals. I don't keep a lot. If you ever looked at my bank account, you'd almost think I'm broke. Right? Because my money won't sit in my account for very long. I'm always finding another investment. Am I lending money to a fix and flipper? Am I buying, which is where I've made most of my money, is actually in mineral rights.
Right.
Am I doing a multifamily deal? Am I purchasing another single family home? Something along those lines. And what was funny is it took me about 4 years. So the problem is people think, once again, that home run deal. No, it's a bunch of them.
Right.
After 4 years, I was making, last year when me and my wife filed our taxes, or were looking to file our taxes, we made $71,000 in passive income.
Wow.
$71,000 not working.
Right.
I had a good salary of a little over $100,000 a year at a job that I'm spending 100 hours a week at.
Right.
Making 70 grand over here doing nothing.
Yeah, no, it's incredible. I mean, I was just going to say that. I mean, some people are spending their entire day busting their butt, sweating, to make that type of income. And you're sitting at home watching, the Rangers win the World Series or whatever, and you're getting paid.
That was the thing. That was such a turning point for me and my wife. And we realized that, look, if we're spending all this time at the W-2 job, if we're spending no time on these passive investments, what would actually happen if we started taking that same time and moving it over?
Yeah.
And that was a game changer. It started off first, she quit her job.
Okay.
And she worked as a loan officer, right? And so she was an underwriter for a lending company. And all she did was manage our investments. By her managing our investments, actually really helped us to excel on some of the rates of return that we were getting. Then that started to increase, and we're getting closer to that $100,000 a year and just passive to, why am I working?
Right.
So then I was able to also leave. And then once I left my job, that was the crazy aspect. Yeah. That was when now I'm spending more time looking at investments, networking with people like yourself, working to find my next project, find my next whatever it is.
And it's so funny that, based on exactly what you're mentioning, I was at a conference recently where one of the topics and one of the speakers said, less is more.
Yeah.
And what he was referring to was when you start really analyzing, probably like your wife was really analyzing, okay, what is our rate of return on this investment? Maybe instead of doing XYZ, we can do this and we can get a better rate of return, right?
Yep.
And you start really thinking, like you said, you guys decided to quit your W-2, and now you're actually maybe doing more deals, making more money, working less. I mean, I know it's kind of hard to really believe and think that, but that's been happening to me.
Exactly.
As well, where we've been working less, and I'm like, wait a minute, we're having our best year.
You actually almost made me cry earlier. You showed me a text from your wife where she was at the park with your guys' daughter, right?
Son.
Your son. And she saw all these nannies that were there with the kids and not the parents.
Yeah.
And then she was the one that got to actually be there with your kids.
Yeah.
You can't replace time.
Yeah. Yeah, we're at an event, and I was just sharing with Derrick. I'm at this event.
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up. I don't know if it mattered, but yeah.
No, yeah. I mean, we're at the event, and my wife is here. Because even though we live 45 minutes away, I mean, it just makes more sense for us to be here. We're able to network and have dinners and create those relationships because there are people coming from all over the country. And my wife and my son are here, and they're out shopping because there's obviously gallery. We're in the mall, and she starts noticing, right, that there's a lot of Latin ladies and there's blonde kids, and she's kind of scratching her head, and she's like, I saw a few, and then I saw more, and she started overhearing their conversations of they're actually nannies, and just made her realize how blessed we are, where, she doesn't have to have and be at a corporate job, and she's able to be there for her son who's autistic, and we homeschool.
Yep.
And it's just,
It's
blessing.
You can't replace it. You physically can't do it.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're looking for. And I think that's what people need. And you just got to get started.
Yeah.
And I think don't give up. Don't miss out on that drive, and there's so many good investments. I made my money in not only the rental space, but I also started doing notes. I'd buy notes, I'd originate notes, I'd lend money. I started investing in oil and gas and mineral rights. So I want you to understand I wasn't hung up in one area.
Right.
And I wasn't what I think some people might call a one-trick pony.
Right.
I was really looking at multiple different spaces for good diversification, but it was all tangible assets, something I could touch, feel, see,
it wasn't crypto.
Look at. Yeah, it wasn't crypto. Oh my God.
Right. Yeah. So
that was good.
Yeah, let's talking about rental notes. Like, I mean, did you have $100,000 to buy your first note, or what did that look like?
No, as a matter of fact, I would start off with I would partner my funds with other people's funds to do a note. So let's say you want to lend $100,000. I might only lend you $5,000, but someone else lent $95,000. Now, when you made a payment, I got 5% of the payment. They got 95% of the payment, right? But then that's actually switched to second lien notes. I made some decent money on second lien notes.
Oh, wow.
But I was very picky. When I would do a second lien note, I would only lend $10,000. Right? That was it.
Right.
I wanted to talk to the person that was a first lien position.
Right.
Make sure they knew you needed more money. And I charged you out the butt. I charged you 5 points. Now that sounds like a lot. 5 points and a 12% interest.
Yeah.
But that was $500 on $10,000.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, and most of my second lien notes would only last about 60 days.
That's awesome. That's a really good strategy that, because I actually own some seconds, and I create some first and seconds for the same reason, because you're able to get that higher ROI on that second.
Yep.
And no, that's an awesome strategy. I mean, there's just so many ways to go about it. And that's what I think, as I mentioned earlier, there may be a lot of limiting beliefs for people in saying, hey, I don't have $100,000, I don't have $50,000, I don't have $30,000.
You don't need that.
But you may have $5,000, and that may be, $7,000, $10,000 for you to get started and start, figuring out how you can start buying your first note or partner with somebody like you mentioned, right?
And that's the purpose to events, right? And you made a joke earlier, but if you can get to an event, I don't care what the event is, you'll figure something out, right? It could be your next business partner. It could be your next business adventure. It could be that one nugget you took away from something like we were here at the Note Expo.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's so many incredible speakers and people, and at the event, and this event, Note Expo, Note School, for me has been so so important for my business, and I've been able to create lifelong relationships with friends that you wouldn't believe. But it's like we were joking about it earlier. It's more of like, hey, I'm looking to pick up this property. We're probably going to need $100,000. And it's like, sell me a spread. It's just like, how much do you need and when do you need it by? Just send me wire instructions.
Yeah.
And
it's weird. It's because once you start to develop that reputation, that's where things change.
Yeah.
Right? And I think you hit that point probably about a year and a half, 2 years ago, right? And it's where, hey, you got another deal. You got it funded in 24 hours. You got, what you need.
Yeah.
Right. And because you've been around the block, you know what's going on. And even when there's hang-ups, title company, if you first time you ever close at a title company, you're going to be hung up. You're not closing the day you think you're closing, I promise.
Yeah. It'll be next week, next month.
Yeah.
So
next week, next month.
Yeah. I think what you're saying is 100% true. I think something that we've been able to do that we both is like building those relationships and doing the right thing at all times.
Yep.
Building that reputation because we only got one, right? And
exactly.
When people know that you do good business, they're going to want to work with you and continue to want to work with you. So, I think you have such a great story with your successful family and your wife, and being able to kind of focus on what it is that you guys like to do. So where's Derrick Long, in the next 12 to 24, 36 months? I know you talked a little bit about maybe travel or.
Yeah. So me and my wife, we actually, so real story is we had $100,000 sitting in the bank. Okay. And we wanted to buy, we're buying a travel trailer.
How'd you get that 100,000?
Honestly,
was it a rental or?
So it was actually the sale of a homestead house.
Oh, okay.
So what we did is we bought a lot of people, when they go buy a homestead, their house they're going to live in, they're trying to find their perfect home.
Right.
No. As a matter of fact, we bought one that we knew would just appreciate in value in a good school district. We didn't even really like the house.
Right.
But we lived in it only for 3 years, and the house appreciated $100,000 in value.
Wow.
When we sold the house, we were able to take that $100,000. By the way, as long as you lived in the house for 2 years,
Tax free.
that $100,000 is tax freaking free.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
IRS has no claim to it. So suddenly, I just made $100,000, and my wife said, hey, let's go buy the truck that we want. And she told me to go buy, and it was a $100,000 truck because we want to buy a travel trailer so we can travel, and
awesome.
right, because we got the time.
Yeah.
And instead, I said, no, we're going to wait another year. I took that $100,000, and this was my first experience in oil and gas, believe it or not. I bought a mineral package. Now, the difference between that and oil and gas is you actually own the land, and then you just receive rent checks is really all it is.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
Right? That's all it is.
Awesome.
The $100,000 pays us royalties of about $1,500 a month for the next 50 years.
Wow.
So then once we started receiving those royalties, we bought the truck. Those royalties not only cover the car payment, covers the insurance, and covers the gas, and still puts cash in our pocket. So instead of me taking $100,000 and buying a truck, I took $100,000, bought an asset that's going to pay for that asset.
Right.
And then once the asset's paid off, or once the truck's paid off, I still receive royalty checks.
Yeah, so you have, and I think, a lot of people can make that mistake. And that's something that, we see people, trying to keep up with the Jones and maybe saying, you know what, I need to get a new truck. I need to get XYZ. And a lot of times it's not a, need, it's a want. And like you said, you could have easily done that and missed out on hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And you know what? I think that was our mistake the first time around. Remember, 15 years ago, we saw the fancy Mercedes, the fancy suits.
Yeah.
And when we would make money, instead of reinvesting it, we went and bought the nice clothes.
Yeah.
Right? When we finally got our, what was at the time called TCADs, right? We just got a $3,000 check. We're balling. Yeah. Let's go buy that Infiniti G35, right?
Yeah.
And then not realizing, what? It was probably smarter if we would have took that money and reinvested it instead.
Yeah. And it's so funny because now it's like the opposite. You obviously, you wisen up, right? You get older and you're like even for us, right? We've done, each year we've done better. We haven't went out there and bought a new car. However, I'm probably similar to you. We've been eyeing a nice truck.
Yep.
We live
in Texas, man. We live in Texas and you have 10 acres,
Yeah,
right?
we have 10 acres. You got 3 acres. So you got a lot of trees. We got a lot of trees. So, so awesome. So, we'll go ahead and close this out, and I know people can, follow you. We'll put some of the links below. What is one say advice or something that you can tell to somebody that's trying to get started on their journey of note investing, real estate investing?
Just investing in general, man. get started.
Yeah.
The problem is I see too many people that get hung up in the details. It's that analysis by paralysis, you know? And they think they need to know, well, before I bake a cake, I need to know how much is the water weigh or in the baking soda or what. No, hey man, just start.
Yeah.
If you make a mistake, which you're going to, that's okay. Right. And if you just get started, it will work out. And the more you do, the better people you'll meet. The better people you meet, the more money you make. One other thing too, and this sounds really crappy, get rid of your broke friends.
Yeah.
You know, unfortunately, I know when I first started this journey, and I love them to death. My best friend was a guy named Cole, all right? Cole Cornell in Arizona. And when I was in our very first business venture, he was working at Walgreens, okay? And he kept telling me, no, man, that's not going to go anywhere. That's not going to go anywhere, da-da-da-da. Hey, nope, you're silly, you're stupid, da-da-da. Guess where he works today? That same Walgreens. And that is a true story.
Wow.
And it took me having to separate from those people and hang around with more people like yourself. Right. Hang around with more people that are like-minded individuals that honestly, instead of putting you down, they're going to boost you up.
Yeah.
And that's it. And honestly, you'll be successful.
Well, incredible. I mean, thanks for taking the time. I know you were busy and you got so much going on now with, traveling and, enjoying and meeting, networking, whatnot. So we'll make sure to, put in the description of the video all, your Facebook or how they can follow you. And, I'm sure we're going to be at a lot more events together and on stage. But it's been incredible. And it's, always, I think the most exciting thing is not only when you're able to be successful, but also do it with your friends along the way, right? And like you said, key friends are people that have the same, vision. They, whatever they did in the past, all that doesn't matter. But it's like, hey, we're all trying to go towards, becoming better, doing well, and serving the community. And it's amazing. So appreciate you, and
Thank
we'll
you
see
so
you on the
much,
next one.
man.